So my guest today is Phil M. Jones, and I'm so excited to have him to episode 200 because at every monumental episode we've always had someone bring something of significant value to the show, and today's no different. Phil M. Jones is a best-selling author of 7 business books and 1 gorgeous children's book. He had his first business at just 14 years of age and is the youngest recipient of the British Excellence in Sales and Marketing Award. He's a sought-after advisor to global brands, creator of the most listened-to nonfiction audiobook of all time, and a firm believer that almost every problem could be prevented or solved if more people just knew exactly what to say. So here to help us make more of our conversations count, please welcome to the show my guest today, Mr. Phil M. Jones. Welcome back to the What You More podcast. I'm your host, Quinton Harris, and as mentioned, we are dialed in today with an amazing guest for my 200th episode here at What You're One More, Mr. Phil M. Jones. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Such a joy to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, I just finished your book, and we were kind of talking about this pre-show here, but the perfect thing to say and what to say is just, it seems so much needed in today's sales world, where we have all of these objections and we have things that aren't in our favor in the form of interest rates and affordability. So exactly what to say is just the perfect way to sum it up. So I'm pretty pumped up about this. And, I was jotting down all the chapters and exactly things. And I found myself, have you heard people say like, I feel like I say that already, but maybe I didn't say it with a purpose. Like you instruct on and talk about in this book. It was really great. And, I was very, very much pleased with what I read on there, and more importantly, what came out of that. Because I was like, oh, you know what? When I say this stuff to my spouse, when I say this stuff to my kids, now I'm going to say it with a different purpose and see if I get the result that's mentioned in that book.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And I think that's everything it's about. It's intentionality, right? It's how can you lead conversations for the benefit of the other person and for the benefit of the outcome that you're trying to achieve. And so much is about like closing, or so much is about like, how do you push somebody into a path? And I wanted to produce a piece of content that was helping people understand how they can use language to be pulley, how they can use language to be a more effective guide in the conversations that they're looking to have, and help take an executive leadership role in helping people make smarter decisions, and perhaps even demystify what some people think about sales and persuasion and influence.
Yeah, I think you absolutely knocked that out of the park. What was the background behind the book? What led you to thinking of all these different chapters? Was this a body of work that took years in the making, or was this something you said, I got this, I've been doing this for a long time?
I think in the nonfiction book space, there are really 2 types of books in the world. There is the big idea book, and there's the proven method book. And a big idea book is like, you want to try and change the world with a concept, a thought, and this could be purple cow, this could be who moved my cheese, this could be good to great, etc. These are big idea books. And what my book is really a proven method book. It's how do I take decades of personal experience, combine them with decades of training, coaching, consulting others, and create a condensed, usable format that people can access big ideas around influence and persuasion in a simple, bite-sized palette. So it really started with my early sales training business back in the 07, 08, 09. I'd be running one-day training programs, and much of my sales training was sales skills for non-sales people. So people that needed to sell things. And obviously, real estate agents sometimes put themselves in the we're not salespeople camp too. Mortgage professionals definitely are like, no, I'm not selling, I'm advising, I'm an expert, right? So those are my people that need to get a commercial result, but don't see themselves as quote unquote salespeople. And I would deliver these one-day sales training programs, and we could put all of these principles and all these processes and all these big ideas into the program, but I'd sprinkle through sequences of what I would call magic words. Little precise, in this moment, don't say that, say this instead. In this moment, don't say that, say this instead. And I'd meet people who'd been through my one-day programs a year, 2 years, 3 years after the fact, and they'd say, still using your magic words, Phil, still using those magic words. And in my lead capture approach, like if I was speaking at a big event with the goal of capturing leads at the event for my consulting or coaching business, I would deliver a speech called Magic Words. And it was 17 sequences of words to influence and persuade without sounding salesy. It was a big, aha, people like that topic. I could get a lot of leads. If it was an open seminar environment where people could choose their own adventure, my title would be attractive to help fill the room, which gave me more opportunity. I got something here. Fast forward to around 2011, and I was in a mastermind group with some other speaker, coaches, consultant friends, and we were talking about books and book publishing, and they said, it's so hard to publish a book. I said, it's not. I mean, if you really wanted to put your mind to it, you could turn a book around in a month if you needed to. And they said, put your money where your mouth is, Jones. So I needed to be able to follow through on this. And to complete the bet, what I did is I took a 2-page PDF that I used in a training program with a telecommunications company just a couple of days prior, and I blew it up to a book. So I padded it out best I possibly could, and I added some fluff and some concepts around the structure of the 2-page PDF, and I put it out to Fiverr.com and got somebody to turn it into a book design, and I pumped it into a self-publishing portal, and ta-da, I got a book. It was called Magic Words. Won the bet.
Nice.
Interestingly, though, it wasn't like my greatest of work. It was me turning a book around in a month. And for fun, I pumped it into Amazon's KDP Select at the time, which was the new self-publishing portal for Amazon at the time. And I put it on a free promo for Kindle download. Said you can have it for free on Kindle. Let's just put it out there. And then I forgot about it for a week or two, opened up the Kindle account, went 120,000 downloads.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. And most people kind of liked it too. Couple with 1-star reviews of this isn't a book, it's a pamphlet, and these kind of things. And that book ran then in my arsenal for about 5 years as a just for fun add-on. I'd give it away in the back of speeches. I'd share it with coaching clients. I'd customize it in different color palettes for corporate clients so they could insert it in their LMS. For a while, we gave it away as a download in exchange for email address on our website and used it as lead capture. And, you know, I was building reputation as Mr. Magic Words. That was what people were talking to me about. Fast forward to 2017, folks were saying that if I want to grow a North American business, not a global business. I was doing a lot through Asia and through Europe and back into the UK and a sprinkling of work into North America, but I wanted to move to North America. My wife's American, wanted to be able to lock in and plug in here. They said, you should probably do a new book. Thought, great idea. And then I thought, you freaking idiot, Phil. Why on earth would you do a new book when you've got this lazy EP in your back catalog? The marketplace have said they found remarkably useful on repeat. Just go back and do it properly. So exactly what to say is the rewrite of Magic Words, which has lived in my body of work for, since 2006, 2007. Man. So when I say it's proven method, I've been living with this stuff forever.
Yeah, almost 20 years. Congratulations. And are you telling me this all stemmed from a bet? That's kind of, the over bet to do so. That's some motivation.
I think there is some magic in this, particularly for this audience, is people think that sometimes to be able to get demonstrably better results, you need an insanely better idea. You need to do something new. You need to do something different. Whereas what I've learned to be true is if you've got a good idea, if something's working well for you, if you can just stick with it and keep refining and evolving and refining and evolving and refining and evolving, you can have a monstrous career. It's true in my life, and it's true in lots of musicians' lives. Like, think about people who've had 40, 50, 60-year careers in music. They're still working their greatest hits. So how does this work from a real estate point of view is agents are out there saying, I got to find brand new people. I tell you what would be better today. Me calling a stranger who knows nothing about me and trying to convince them that I can help them to do something they have no intention of being able to do, versus speaking to the people that I've helped in the past, learning to understand what their objectives might be for their housing needs in the weeks, months, and years ahead, understanding who else in their social circle was puzzled with questions and queries about what their options are and what they could be. And you could harvest and farm and nurture a phenomenal amount of business by working with the people that you already know. But as an industry right now, we're trying to chase the quick win too easily instead of looking at the bigger picture.
I love this. This kind of hones in on something we talk about quite a bit in my industry, specifically in my office, is really working your database. Taking your sphere of influence, the people that you know, and working that. I saw a statistic where 70% of your business should come from, and if you do it right, should come from that group you're mentioning that you harvest and work with. At least.
Right? And the stuff that doesn't should come from the people that are in that, introducing to the people who are not in that.
Yeah, like a tier 2, tier 3.
Like I have a phenomenal business in the speaking, training, coaching, consulting space. And we've sold nearly 3 million copies of a book. Do you know I've never run an ad, never bought a lead?
Wow.
And I think that's about practicing what you preach also. And in the real estate space, working your database and nurturing your sphere and farming your community and all of this language that has been put out there in the world, for many means lazy check-ins, spammed drip campaigns, lackluster drop-ins and introductions to semi-useful potential maybe updates about the market. That isn't showing an emotional connection to understand what the needs of people are. And I actually believe that as we record this conversation sort of back end of 2024, the ones that crush it over the next decade are the ones that not master automation and how what they can do is to reach more people quickly and get microscopic conversion rates off a mass database of people. It's the ones that can get obnoxious conversion rates out of a smaller group of people because they really understand and can make emotional connections with the people that they're looking to try and help. And they're the ones that play from a lot further back. When I'm speaking to agents right now, I'm just sharing ways with them as to how do they become helpful to their consumers before the consumer actually immediately needs that help. Because agents, team leads, LOs right now, is they've traditionally danced for their value to be appreciated in the final mile. All attached to the transaction and then, some splinters off of the transactional moment of a housing purchase. Yet protecting the margins that exist in this business, protecting the human capital that exists, what I try to share with people is that your value is only valuable where it is both appreciated and it's appreciating.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is having the ability to understand what is truly valuable to an individual, because it's different for different people. The majority of customers that you think you are serving value to, you are actually annoying. You are devaluing your relationship rather than increasing it. Like they think less of you because you keep sending them information that's irrelevant.
Makes sense.
There's also that appreciating thing, i.e. the value compounds over time, just like money compounds over time. If invested well, then your value compounds over time if you give it enough time. So I would encourage everybody in the real estate space right now is, why can't you be working a 5 to 10 year pipeline as opposed to a 30, 60, 90 pipeline? Why can't you be thinking about everybody you come into contact with and get detailed emotional intelligence as to what they may be potentially possibly thinking about doing at some points in the foreseeable future? I don't mind knowing that somebody wants to move in 2029 when their kids have finished high school, might want to downsize, might want to move somewhere else. I can serve them so much better if that's what they're currently thinking.
Do you
Instead, we say, here's your equity, like in 2024, and they're like, I don't care.
Do you find with real estate agents, like this is a difficult concept to understand or to grasp?
Correct. It's a big idea for them, and it's challenging, I think, because people are only capable of seeing 6 inches in front of their nose. And what I love about the real estate space is almost everybody's a prospect. And almost everybody is going to buy your product or service from someone in the next decade. Like, it's not like, might I change my housing circumstances in the next 10 years? Almost everybody will. The debate is, will they do it with you?
Right.
The crowded part of the competition is in the final mile. Why didn't you not jump out into the blue ocean? And now you're a marketplace of one. And there are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of real estate agents that are talking about my sphere, my clients, my prospects. They're claiming ownership of these people. But if I ask those people who's their agent, they wouldn't throw the same level of ownership back in the other direction.
That's got to be pretty harsh when you say that on stage, or you talk to someone in coaching. Like, that's got to be a huge wake up. Like, whoa.
It's harsh.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Right.
It is true. Like, you cannot call them your clients, and if they don't call you their agent.
Yeah. Well, I think like, biggest wake up call is like you go online, you see they did something with someone else.
Right.
They did business with someone else. You're like, how could you do that? That speaks to your point. That happens every day.
All the time. And it's not their fault. It's yours. And it's definitely not their problem. It sure is your problem if you're listening to this right now is what are you doing today to make sure that everybody you'd like to do business with in the future understands the value that you can provide to them today, tomorrow, the weeks and months ahead, so that without fail, if somebody ever tried to steal them, they'd say, no, I'm good.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's good. I challenge people listening to this to think of that. I'm going to think of it immediately as we get off here. Like literally I'm running through my head, like how do I do that with my business? How do I do that with the people that are in my business? How do I get them to think like that? That's something that is a different thought process. And one of the things I took away, you just immediately said was, I love someone that wants to move in 2029. They want to downsize. I know exactly what you want, and I'm like, wow, that's perfect. Like that's a different way of thinking, but it's perfect.
Yeah, and you know how to serve them better, right? You help them understand what they may be able to do over that time period. And now, even on the mortgage or the loan origination side, it's like if they want to do that in 2029 and they'd like to be free and clear in that time period as well. And currently they got 10 years left on their loan, but they want to be out of there in 2029 and wouldn't mind the option of being unencumbered so that they don't have to have a second note when they move.
Right.
What are you now doing on the mortgage side of things? Is you're aggressively helping them build a plan that says, well, they can make the right amount of overpayments to turn 10 years into 5 years. So they pay off that mortgage in its entirety. And then they have the option of being able to keep or rent that home out to then go somewhere else and buy with a new loan without having to bridge or without having to have a second home mortgage because they only have one home.
Yeah. No, endless possibilities, to your point.
It's amazing if you just start playing further out because now you're sat at the table with people trying to figure out what the problem is, not letting them find out what the problem is themselves and come to you saying, can you deliver a solution?
Yeah. I love that. Like, I can't take enough notes thinking about everything you're saying. What do you think? Like, are you seeing challenges more now with real estate agents with some of the NAR implications and some of the DOJ implications that they're having to deal with? Are you finding more people come to you going, I need to find a way to present my value more now. I need to be further along now.
Neck deep in this stuff for a year. And some of the biggest brokerages in the United States are people that I've been consulting with to give consideration to what does this mean in training language. Like it typically comes as a, hey, Phil, can you help us rewrite our script books? And often in these scenarios, I'll say yes, but mean no. Because there's something in our body of work at exactly what to say, where we say that the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment where you're saying it. Over-focus on the word moment. What's missing from the majority real estate agents around everything to do with buyer's agency representation and talking about how you're going to be paid on the buy side is we haven't yet formulated where do the moments exist that we can have a meaningful conversation with a buyer to say, here's the way in which I can help you, and here are the services that I would provide for you, and here are my commitments and promises to you over this time period, and here's what you can expect as a service level agreement as a result of which, and here's all the way that I can look to be able to help you. And by the way, when we find you what it is you're looking for, then here's how I'm going to be compensated for it. And if that's available from the sell side, then that's something that will be considered too. And if not, this is what this will mean to you. And there's no moments. So what's happening is people are still like buying leads or getting hotkey leads from Zillow, etc. And they're trying to solve the problem with a sneak attack like Apple do when they update their terms and conditions and say, hey, look, just before I get you to go in, like, you don't need to read all of this. You probably won't need it all, but can you just sign here that says you're going to pay me blank? Even though that I haven't explained to you how I might be able to actually help you. But sign here, please, before I can take you over the threshold. Like, they're missing the point. The point is consumers could benefit from higher levels of representation. And I actually think this is a great thing.
I agree.
It's a great thing if you are one of two types of agents. If you're really good at what you do, and you've had people who are not very good at what they do, stealing your share of wallet in your margin, in your locality, because consumers didn't know the difference, this is a good time. If you can educate your community that not all agents are equal. There's a big difference between a professional agent and a licensed agent, right? Like, these are different things. And Sure, they both need a license, but one delivers professional levels of care and understands how to genuinely help people navigate the complexities of a home transaction. Like that's a big thing for us to be able to give consideration to is like getting that part right. I think is a good thing. And the only other group of people that I think it's good for is if you're the cheapest.
Interesting. Yeah.
Those are the two types of businesses that will thrive with this level of transparency. The good ones and the cheap ones.
Yeah.
If you're anywhere in the middle of that, good luck.
and the cheap ones are probably going to come with less service and less attention, less detail. Everything you just said is the complete opposite of the people that are really good at what they're doing.
Yeah. But there will be people who will steal a lot of market share with high value offers. And isn't the same true in the mortgage space?
Absolutely.
There are people that are just looking for the cheapest rate and they don't understand all the variables.
100%.
There are people that are looking for the most convenient. So I'll do it with my bank because I already have blank. And, you know, those guys will also always win in some way, the cheapest. And I think what we will see in the real estate space, and you know, we can maybe sense check this when we're together in Jacksonville in April of next year, as to see how it shapes out, is there will be a significant number of louder players at the lower end of a market saying, I can help you, and they'll play into the all agents are equal, don't pay premium fees, when for the same level of service, I can do it for fixed fee 1%, fixed fee $1,500, fixed fee $5,000, whatever it might be, is people are going to be saying, I can do exactly the same as them for less. So the marketplace needs to be ready, not to defend against that, but to educate ahead of that.
What type of runway do you think it takes before that happens?
I think we're already behind.
I completely agree. I completely agree. I feel like that's something that should have been done maybe 6 months ago, leading up to.
Correct. And what I'm training people to do right now is to get mad about it.
Interesting.
Not to try and defend it, get mad about it. Be frustrated. You know, one of the things that I found frustrating in this industry for years is that, you know, people have just thought all real estate agents are equal. What they've been thinking is they've been thinking that they just open doors and then get paid an obnoxious sum of money. And what so few people understand is just the complexities that goes into be able to support people. It's kind of embarrassing that some people have been paid lots of money for giving bad advice. It's kind of embarrassing that people think that this can be done, you know, with simple low price fees, when it's so important that people get this right. You see, what happens is when you get mad about it, you start to be able to say, well, there's a differentiator here. People are saying, well, what's the difference? You say things like, well, what do you understand about all of your options when it comes to being able to buy a home? They say, not much. I say, well, what is your experience of hiring an amateur for something that was important? So we tried this once, right? We tried this once when we were, we were looking to get some home improvements done, and we hired a handyman guy. At least he said he was handy, and he caused more destruction than he did good. Got it. Well, how important is it to you that when you're in your home search is that you have somebody that has your vested interests in mind, somebody that's been there and done it before, somebody has resources to the right kind of team that can get the job done, and has the experience to be able to help not only find you the home, but get the terms on the deal right and make sure that what you're buying is exactly what you know that you're buying, so that you don't have any long-term surprises. How important is that to you? They're like, it's pretty darn important.
That emotional connection. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, nailing it. It's interesting to me because I look at our industry as very reactive in many different ways. Like, oh, my pipeline's cleared out. I got to go buy leads. I got to do this. I got to get that. When instead of working the entire time to maintain that database, to maintain that consistent pipeline, or this, you know, this NAR thing comes about. We knew this was coming about. We knew it was in the works of potential for many months prior to it hitting the forefront. But there was a lot of this attitude that everything's going to be the same.
Right.
It's still going to be the same. Nothing's here yet. When in fact, it was on the horizon and it was here. And now many companies, if not all, are just reacting. And the getting mad approach, I have not seen yet. I love that idea. I haven't seen it yet. And I can't wait to see how that works out, because there should be some people that are taking the stand that are like, man, I'm not this person. I'm greater value. I mean, we see the flyers going around. It's like, you know, the 71 things a real estate agent does, the 99 things a real estate agent does. And it's like,
it's wrong.
Yeah,
it's making your own problem.
Yeah.
It's if you show some, like, if the goal is to maintain your margin and you say, here are 99 things that I do that make me worth my money. And then me as the consumer looks at that list of 99 things and says, I only need 45 of them. So I guess that means I should only pay half. Got it. Like, try and get out of that objection that you just created for yourself.
Yeah, you put yourself right in the corner.
You put yourself there and said, the reason that I'm worth all this money is because I do all these things. Yet most consumers are going to look at that list and say, I don't need all those things.
And the sad part is the consumer doesn't know what they need. They don't know. They don't have a clue. And when you look at it online, you know, the Phil Dunphys of the world made a bad picture for real estate agents. And unfortunately, he has a bigger microphone in that show than any real estate agent in this world. So there's a lot of that isms going on out there. To your point, they think what agents do based on what they've seen in sitcoms, when in fact, like, there's a tremendous amount of need for that buyer's agent for protection and just guidance alone to make this be a smooth transaction to where you're not in a bad contractual situation.
There are also not that many really good agents. Like, if you to look at the licensed agent community across the board, and I've had a lot of exposure to them, there are 10% that are really good. There are like 30% that are really good at marketing homes. There's a chunk in the middle that are pretty high, like kind, helpful, nice people. And there's a number of people that probably would be better to be driving Uber.
Oh, 100% agree with that last part. Yeah. There's nothing worse than that last agent you described.
But the good news is, if the consumer starts to understand the difference between different levels of service, they'll demand different levels of service from everybody. And the actual standard of care should go up. And the best example that I bring to this is to look what happened when Uber entered the market. And just look at it from a consumer point of view. Don't think about a tech company, etc. Just look at how it changed consumer behavior. Is Uber and the rideshare app showed up, and what did the taxi industry do for a long time? They complained and moaned and whinged and tried to get legislative and try to create their loudest, proudest version of, this is not fair, you're not allowed to do that. Yeah, the consumers said quietly in the background, well, for a long time, you've been really freaking annoying, because I didn't know where you were. I didn't know when you're coming. Every time I tried to pay you, you made it really difficult for me. When I gave you a $50 for a $30 fare, you never had change. Your taxi cab stunk. I didn't know if you were actually licensed to drive the vehicle half the time. Like, I felt unsafe or certainly unreliable. I didn't feel like I was getting the right level of service, and I was overpaying for it. That's what actually the consumer was thinking about the minicab industry and the taxi industry. What then happened is Uber came up and said, no, we're going to have vetted drivers. You're going to see where they are. You're going to be able to pay effortlessly and easily. You're going to have some form of recourse on this. I'm going to commit to making this experience better for you on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. You're going to get the increased visibility and transparency, etc., that comes up. But now look what happens, what Uber have done. They've actually introduced you to things like Uber Black. They've introduced you to being able to pre-schedule your ride. They've introduced your ability to be able to get access to a rental car through the same portal, through the same package. Why? Because they're not in the business of motor vehicles. They're in the business of consumer transportation, and to help remove the friction inside of consumer transportation. If people are thinking that the puzzle that is existing in real estate today is a NAR settlement point of view, is a DOJ problem, is well, how dare these lawyers do this, or why is my broker making me do this? They're all listening to the wrong person. The consumer decides. And that's actually what's happening here. The consumer is demanding a greater level of service for the monies that are being asked, or a more transparent landscape that says, if you're going to give me less, I'd like to pay less, please.
That last part, can we just say that one more time for the audience to hear?
I mean, the consumer is always right.
Right. Dead on.
And I think that's who we need to be listening to. And the greatest way to reshape your value proposition, stepping into the new normal that we're now currently firmly in, is to stop justifying your fees and start learning what really is valuable to the people that you're looking to be able to help. And the best place that you can appreciate more of your value is further back.
Love it. And if you want to hear more about being further back, and you want to hear what your customer's saving, Phil is coming to Jacksonville. He's bringing this message to Jacksonville, Florida on April 7th at UNF Arena. He will be there for a full day event. I cannot encourage you enough to come to this event. Phil, it's going to be a big one. We're going to pack that place. We're going to get 3,000 people in there. We're going to get as many real estate agents and mortgage professionals as possible in there, because this is the message you need to hear. As you move into mid-year of 2025, you're going to want to be armed with this message. You're going to want to be confident in how you deliver this message, and you're going to want to be able to put yourself in that blue ocean that he just spoke about and be the one that's separating yourself from the pack. It's going to be a big event.
And that's what we're bringing, right? When we come together and we're there in Jacksonville, is you might be listening to this conversation and say, yeah, I agree. This is what I want. And I know what some of you are thinking, listening in right now is yeah, but how? Yeah, but how? Yeah, but how? Like, that's the challenge that we're going to look to be able to work on when we're together in Jacksonville is what's the method to achieve this message? How do you actually be more intentional about the conversations you're looking to start? Because the new normal means that all of the moments that you're going to need to create within your customer experience are different to the ones that you have right now. And how do you lead the dance with the people that you're looking to be able to influence, as opposed to get better at reacting when they ask for your help?
Man, there it is. There it is. I can't thank you enough for being on the show. I don't want to give everything away here. I want people coming back. My father-in-law always used to tell me, he lived in New Mexico. We'd go out there and he goes, I just want to give you enough to just want to come back every single time. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you enjoy what you're hearing, please 5-star review this podcast. Check us out on our YouTube channel at What's Your One More. Go in there and leave us some comments. Remember, the date is April 7th. It's going to be an all-day event. For details about the event, they'll be in our show notes. You can register. You can buy tickets there. It's going to be outstanding, and I'm looking so much forward to having you here and bringing this in-person message to everyone, because you're going to knock it out of the park, my friend.
It's going to be a ton of fun. Yeah. Cannot wait to see you.
Thank you again for being on the show. Appreciate your time. Everyone, Phil Jones, check him out. All of his information will be in there. Social handles, information about his books, all be in our show notes here. But Phil, do you have anything you want to end with, as far as you have an upcoming book or any other projects you want to promote while we're on the show?
The one thing that I'd ask everybody to give consideration to is to note that when you do change your words, you can change your world. So add intentionality. Everything that leaves your mouth is helping or hurting. Nothing is neutral. And if it is neutral, it's a waste. So do what you can today alone, to listen to what you're saying a touch more and see if you can edit in a way that is more helpful, more kind, more valuable to the people you're looking to serve.
Man, I couldn't end the show any better. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you at the next episode of What's Your One More.
Got one more shot, I'm gonna make it. One more chance, I'm gonna take it. I meant it when I said it, now it's time for me to do it. I got one life to live, so I put my all into it, yeah.